Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome to a new series on my channel where I am challenging myself to read an entire shelf of books. Now, is there really a time limit on this challenge? No, but I have 4 shelves on here, more than 4 in total, but 4 of them are specifically for this vlog series. I'm not reading an entire shelf for one vlog because that's just a lot of books to be talking about for one vlog. So each shelf is going to represent a season on my channel, and each season will have about 4 or 5 episodes each. All of these vlogs are kind of just going to be sprinkled in on my channel and just kind of uploaded whenever they get finished. But the goal is to have each season within like each quarter of the year. So season 1 will be now, and then season 2 will come out around springtime, and then another in the summer, and then the last season will be November, December, end of year. So that's the plan. Each vlog is going to have about 2 to 3 books that are categorized in some sort of way. So I'll get into the first 3 that I'm going to be reading for this vlog. But yeah, if you haven't heard me talk about this series idea yet, I do mention it in a couple other videos on my channel, so you can go ahead and watch those if you haven't already. But I'm very excited for this challenge. The main goal of it is so that I can knock down my physical TBR, to push myself to read all of the books that I currently physically own and limit the amount of books that I'm buying that I don't need. You know, I am very excited for this vlog, for this whole series. There's lots of good books on here. I'm hoping lots that I've wanted to get to for a very, very long time, and it should be a fun time, and I really hope you guys enjoy it as well. And if you guys have any suggestions throughout this whole series that you would like to let me know of, I'm open to it, so you can just let me know in the comments down below if you have any fun ideas to add to this idea that I've already created. It's definitely a work in progress, and it's just kind of a fun, chill time for me to challenge myself in reading books that I already own. So that is the grand idea, the big scheme of it all. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the TBR for this vlog for this first week, episode 1 of season 1. First of all, let me show you actually the shelf that we're focusing on. So this is the first shelf that is going to be season 1. I have them kind of all sectioned off in the order that I'm gonna read them. I think it might change, I don't know. And like I said, there are gonna be 2 to 3 books for each vlog, for each episode. So for this first episode, I've got 3 Colleen Hoover books. I've got November 9, Regretting You, and Ugly Love. I've only ever read Verity by Colleen Hoover, so I haven't gotten into any of her hyped romances, you could say, but I did love Verity, but that one is more of a thriller romance, so maybe that is why I really enjoyed it. I'm very excited for all of these. These 3 get lots of hype everywhere. The one I've seen the most is Ugly Love, and the one I've seen the least about, I think, is Regretting You, and then November 9 is just kind of in the middle there somewhere. I'm excited to read them all like back to back and then decide which one is my favorite or least favorite for whatever reasons. I think it's going to be fun to kind of discuss all 3 after reading them one right after the other. And I will check back in with you once I've made some progress. I think I'm going to start, well, I was just going to say, I think I was going to start with Ugly Love, but if I think this one is going to be the best one, is that what I want to start with? Maybe I'll put a poll on my Instagram. I'm not sure. Either way, I'll come back with my updates and let you know how it's going. So I put the poll on Instagram, and unsurprisingly, Ugly Love is winning by a lot. But I wanted to mention that a couple people were also asking about It Ends With Us, if I had read this yet or not, and I haven't, but this is a family book club pick that we're reading next after the book we're currently reading. So I just wanted to let you know that I haven't read this one yet, but I plan to very soon with my family book club. If you're wondering, yes, I have a family book club with my mom, my aunts, and my cousin, and some like family friends. We've been doing it for a whole year now, so this is our 2nd year of doing it, and this is going to be the next book we read. But yeah, so stick around if you want to hear my thoughts on that. It'll probably just come up in a wrap-up or maybe a future reading vlog. I'm not sure, but I just wanted to let you guys know that. But now I'm gonna go read Ugly Love. Okay, so I'm about halfway through now, on page 170, and it's going fine. I'm right at like the halfway, and they just like mentioned, I guess I should talk about what it's about first in case you guys haven't read it or don't know. Okay, so this is about Tate. The book starts off with her moving into her brother's apartment for whatever reason, because she needs to find a new job. She's a nurse and can't find her own place yet or something. So I should mention, I forgot. Riley's right here playing Beat Saber. I'm gonna give this update really quick and then I'm gonna have a turn. Anyways, so she's moving into her brother's apartment and she stumbles across a friend of her brother, Miles, and he becomes the love interest. He has some past trauma with a certain relationship that we also kind of see a POV from that happened like 6 years ago. So he doesn't really want to fall in love again because it was a very traumatic ending to their relationship. And then Tate, she starts to like really be attracted to Miles, but she doesn't necessarily have the time for a relationship, so they both agree to just be each other's lust buddies. They're just messing around and trying not to get feelings in the way, and so it's like trying to be like a no strings attached situation. Obviously that's not going to end well, and you keep reading that from Tate's perspective, that she knows that it's not going to end well. So I didn't know that that was the main plot. I never read the actual synopsis of it. I'm interested to see like what the cover means, because I know some people who have read this, they get to a certain part where they understand the meaning of the cover with like the water and stuff. So that'll be interesting to see that connection. But it's like, it's going fine. There's a lot of sex scenes in it because that's like the main plot at this point. But Miles has that trauma from his past, so he doesn't want to talk about that at all with Tate. So you as the reader don't know what that looks like at all either. So I'm assuming like as you keep reading, you'll find out. So we shall see. But I literally, it doesn't bother me that much, but I wonder how many times the word smile is in this book. Like, it's said so much. I don't know if that's like supposed to be a play on words because the guy's name is Miles. And so if she's trying to have some sort of connection between his name and smile, and it's like a huge deal about Tate wanting him to smile, and I don't know, they just say the word smile so much. That and Rachel, like Rachel is in here a bajillion times. If you know, you know. I guess Rachel is Miles' ex-girlfriend. So that's who Rachel is. I'm not like loving it or being blown away by it because there's not much else happening besides a bunch of sex scenes. But that is my update so far. Oh, what I was gonna say in the beginning of this clip is that I'm at the halfway point now. And so I just read a scene of Tate saying that she thinks this is like the peak of their relationship, or like it's not a relationship but like her connection with Miles. They get caught in the rain and she like believes like that's the peak of her life, and I was like, oh, it's like the peak of the book because it's in the middle of the book. So I don't know, I just noticed that there was something else on here I tabbed. Let me see. Oh yeah, and so Miles is 24 and she's 23. Yeah, she said, I'll read it to you, it's not a spoiler. The falling rain, the darkness surrounding us, and being kissed like this make it feel like we really are on a stage and our story has just reached its climax. If all my 23 years were laid on a graph, this moment would be the crest in my bell curve. So that was on page 154, and that's like really close to the halfway point. So I guess this is taking place in California. That's where her brother lives. We didn't get much of a backstory on her, and I'm wondering like if we will, but because the book just like jumps right into her coming to her brother's apartment and finding Miles blackout drunk in front of the door. But she's a nurse, and yeah, we don't really know too much about her, but we're following her and her brother and then her brother's like group of friends that are pilots. So Miles is a pilot, and so is Corbin, her brother, and their dad. It's going fine. It's easy to read. Typical romance at this point, but I'm thinking once we get to a big like conflict, then things will start to get juicy. So that's my update. And I don't know if I mentioned this already yet, but after this one, I'm gonna start Regretting You. So hopefully I can finish this early tomorrow. Oh, I closed it. I don't even have my bookmark in it yet. Oops. But I just said what page I was on. 170. That was what it was. So yeah, I'm gonna finish this and then start Regretting You. So that's the plan. And now I'm gonna go play Beat Saber. And then there's Benji over there, napping.
Where are you, you bilge rats? He's not dead.
Okay, so I'm on page 233 now, and I feel like I might end up just finishing this today because I have to know what happens. I'm scared, very, very scared. It's about to go down now, and I don't know what to expect, but I'm very scared. Chapter 27, and yeah. Also, I wanted to say that I was wrong about Tate having to move in with her brother for a job or whatever. I forgot that she's there for school, for nursing school. I guess I just haven't been paying that much attention to that part of the story, but she's always like studying and doing homework. We have a very protective brother. The relationships, like Tate's feelings for Miles, are very much like obsessive. I didn't really say that there's two different perspectives here. So some of the chapters are present day with Tate and Miles and her brother and like all those people, but then some of the other chapters are like really short. They're like 2-3 pages sometimes, and those are the flashbacks from 6 years prior with Miles and his ex-girlfriend. So you're piecing together the story through that POV change. But yeah, those are just some things that I forgot to mention in my last clip. Yeah, I think I might finish it because I have to know what happens, and like I said, I'm scared, very scared. If I cry, I'll come back so you can watch me suffer. I also didn't mention that this was one of my 5-star predictions that I made last year. I don't know if it'll end up being 5-star because I'm really not enjoying all of the sex scenes. Like, it's just a little too much. She writes them well, I guess, like if you're into that, but I'm not necessarily into that like in this particular moment. You know, like that's not what I want to read. Like for this one, I'm mostly in it for like the drama and like the plot. I'm like, I want to know what the baggage is, what the trauma is. I also saw Chandler Ainsley's review of this book. She gave it 3 stars, and she said that it's heartbreaking, but a lot of the problems in here could have been solved with some therapy. I can definitely see and agree to that, especially with like the time difference, like when everything went down, the 6 years. I feel like this man could have gone to therapy and helped him deal with the trauma and the baggage in order to avoid all the problems and heartbreak it's causing Tate, you know. Also, she's being very, very dumb and reckless because she knows how bad of a situation this is that she's putting herself in, like putting her heart on the line like this and knowing that there's no way anything can come out of it for them, because like he just doesn't want to fall in love again. He's afraid to love, and she obviously isn't, and she would like to be with him, but he's like making it super clear to her that they're never going to be a thing. It's just sex, but she doesn't want that, but she's still just giving in. So she's kind of dumb. But anyway, I'm gonna get back to it. I have to know what happened. I'll check back in. Like I said, if I cry, I'll turn the camera back on so you can see. No tears were shed. I finished this last night. It did not make me cry. Okay, the sun's just gonna leave now that I'm filming a clip. I really, really liked it, but I'm kind of sad it didn't make me cry because I was really expecting it to, and I really wanted to. But I think because it wasn't very descriptive or graphic with like what happens, it didn't like evoke any emotion from me because I couldn't. It almost felt like it was glossed over a little bit, and like when they break the news in the book, like when you find out what happened, it just kind of happens. It's just kind of like thrown in there. So I kind of appreciate that it wasn't very graphic, but then again, I kind of wish it was, so that it made me more emotional about it. If it was more detailed, then I could have really sobbed and bawled my eyes out. Overall, I did really like it. And like I said before, my only hang up with it was all of the sex. I just don't love that being like the whole storyline. in the whole plot. It's just one of those stories where you can tell that they really do have feelings for each other, but they don't want it to become more because of whatever reason for each person. There's obviously things holding them back and a lot of baggage that Miles has. So it is very sad, and I think it could have been even more sad if it gave that part of the story a little bit more spotlight, if they talked about it a little bit more. I did really like all the different POV changes. It kept the story feeling fresh. What happened last night was I got to a point where I was like, I'm just gonna finish because I really have to know what happened. I don't have any gripe about the ending. I think it was all well done. I don't have a problem with how any of that was executed. I think just for my personal preference, I would have liked a little bit more detail and backstory on what happened. Maybe that's me being a little intense and heartless, because if you've read this book, you know what happens, and maybe it's bad for me to want more detail on what happens. I don't know, that's just me. But overall, I did like it. I'm giving it 4 stars, and I kind of wanted to rate all of these on a spectrum of like sadness and memorable, I guess. So like I want to see which one ends up being the most heartbreaking and which one I think is like the most memorable, or just obviously we'll be able to tell which one is the best overall in my opinion. My star ratings might reflect that, but I don't know. So this one I'm giving 4 out of 5 stars overall. For sadness level of heartbreak, I'm gonna give it like a 2 out of 5, because the story is very sad, but the writing style of it didn't like puncture me as hard as I expected it to. So the level of sadness that it evoked from me is a 2 out of 5. Memorability, I'm gonna give a 3 out of 5. I think this one will be pretty memorable in the years to come. I did like the characters in this one, but they aren't like my favorite of all time characters. I did like the writing because it's just very easy to read. There's a lot of like repetition style in her writing, which doesn't bother me. I actually think that's a big part of what makes it easy to read. It just flows nice. All in all, it was good. 4 stars. And now I'm starting Regretting You. This one is like the fan favorite, I think, out of the 3 that I'm reading today. A lot of people have said that their favorites are It Ends With Us. I'm not reading that one in this vlog. But of the 3 I'm reading for this vlog, this one is a lot of people's favorites. So if the highest we get is a 4, that's not terrible. But I don't think the other 2 are going to be 5 stars. I don't think. Good morning. I'm going to be taking you along my day today because I need the motivation and accountability to stay productive today. My sleep schedule lately has been awful. I feel like that's affecting my productivity because I'm staying up super late, thus sleeping in super late. So today I decided I'm gonna get my ass out of bed and, you know, get some stuff done. So I just woke up a little bit ago and I believe it's 8:30ish, 8:39. And normally, guys, I will wake up between like 10:30 at the earliest on a good day, and sometimes I won't even wake up till like 1 p.m. but that's because I go to bed at like 3 a.m. so it's just not good right now. It's just not good. I mean, I am more of a night owl. I would rather be a morning person, but I'm definitely more of a night owl. Work best at night, but a lot of the work that I have to get done doesn't fit well in the night hours, besides just like the reading. But everything else needs to be done during the daytime, so that's what we're gonna do today. First of all, we're finishing Regretting You today, and hopefully gonna start November 9. I still have a lot of Regretting You left. I think it's in the bedroom, so I'll grab it in a second. Other than that, other than finishing that book, let's see, because today's the 30th, so we only have 2 days left in the month. I want to like close out some books and finish reading some things. But other than that, I have another video I wanted to film because I've just been slacking overall. In general, I've been slacking a lot with my content, and I think it's because of my sleep schedule. It's just like put me all out of whack because I don't have to like time manage for much else. Like, since I don't have a regular job, I work for myself, I do a lot of stuff like just for fun. So I don't feel like I have to time manage that well, but because I haven't been at all, it's gotten really bad, and now I have like no time to actually do the fun stuff. So we gotta get my life back on track. It's okay to readjust after the New Year's. I feel like I started off really strong for the first like 2 weeks of January, and now it's the 30th and I completely fell off. Like, that's okay. We're gonna readjust, we're gonna reset. So yeah, I have that video. Benji, go outside and leave me alone. So anyway, we're gonna have to do that video at some point today, once I obviously get ready. That's what I'm gonna go do. I have to, well, I said I was gonna feed Benji, but it's like way earlier than he normally gets fed. So I don't know if I want to wait for that or not. Stop it. Don't eat the soil. Benji, leave it. I'm gonna get myself ready, make myself some breakfast and coffee, and I'm feeling good. I'm not feeling that tired, so that's good. I was very confused when my alarm was going off though, because it felt like it was way earlier. So I was like, ugh, I thought it was Riley's, and I was like, turn it off. But it was mine, and I forgot that I set it last night for 8 a.m. I also want to take some pictures today, maybe. Not really sure what that looks like, but I know that I want to take pictures. And then tonight also is the beautiful live show for the Coffee Break Book Club. That is tonight at 6 p.m. And then I think that's all that I put on my main list of stuff to do. So here's my breakfast, and I'm gonna put some Cholula hot sauce on it. And I also have some yogurt and blueberries and cottage cheese, and obviously my coffee. Just wanted a little bit of everything. I got ready a little bit, put on some real clothes. Actually, no I didn't. I still have my sweats on, but I have a cute little shirt on now. Haven't done my makeup yet or anything, but I'll do that in a little bit. I just didn't feel like it yet. But I'm on page 127 at chapter 13 of Regretting You, and I'm really liking this one so far. A lot is happening. Like, this one definitely just like jumps right into a lot of things, and I really like that. Also, like at page 70 we already had like a big plot reveal that I wasn't expecting. And again, I didn't read the back of this one. I didn't read the synopsis prior to going in, but I did know, I've heard some people talk about it being like a mother-daughter relationship, kind of like mending the wounds of their relationship and the bitterness that they've, like, not bitter, I think it's just like they don't get along, basically is what I'm trying to say. They are complete opposites. The daughter, her name is Clara, and the mother is Morgan. Clara's biggest fear is becoming her mother, or being like her mother, who doesn't really know herself. Morgan is struggling with identity and what she wants to do with life because she got pregnant with Clara at 17. Being a mother just became her entire life, so she doesn't know who she is outside of that. Morgan just wants to make sure Clara doesn't make the same mistakes as she did. But then there's a couple different characters also in it. I like how the very first chapter is a flashback of when Morgan was 17, so it gives you a little bit of backstory on her and like her friend group, and then it jumps to present day with Clara being the same age as Morgan was. Already there are a couple similarities that I'm finding between this one and Ugly Love that I don't want to get into too much because I don't want to spoil one if you've read the other. Colleen Hoover definitely has her way of making things tragic and heartbreaking. The same thing kind of happened again though with this one, with that like plot reveal a little bit around page 70. It again kind of just like mentioned it and didn't give many details, but I think that's like the thriller side of me that's like wanting all the gory details, things like that, of tragic events. But I have to remember that this is just supposed to be a hard-hitting romance and that's not necessarily what you're gonna find in this type of book. You're not gonna find all those gruesome descriptions like you would in a thriller. So I think that's all that's happening in my brain, and that's why I feel like it's being glossed over a little bit, just a little bit. but I understand that's not the point of the story. I feel like an ugly love, maybe it could have been a little bit more important for it to be added. This one, not necessarily. Yeah, I'm really hoping to finish it today, and then it would be great if I could get started on November 9 also and get like halfway through that. I hate to say it, but like, maybe I won't actually film that video today since I have so much reading to do and there's only 2 days left in the month. I just feel bad for slacking so much. Like on here and on my second channel, I haven't even uploaded a video on there yet as of right now. I don't know if I'll be able to get one up before this one's even up, but that's what I wanted to film today. I have to give myself grace. I've been kind of all over the place and struggling a little bit, so I just need to take a deep breath and like get back to it when I'm ready and like when I feel good. Otherwise I'm gonna get really burnt out and it's gonna be really bad and you guys aren't gonna enjoy the videos if you can see that I'm clearly not doing well. Those are my ramblings for this clip. Okay, my room is a mess. Please don't look at it. I finished this a few hours ago. Did my makeup just now. It's 4:30, so a little late on the makeup, but it's okay because now it'll be fresher for the live show. But yeah, I finished this and this one was okay. I felt like it was a little long and I'm not into like teenage love stories, teenage romance. Not my favorite because it was pretty cringy at times. I could not stand Clara. And this one is hard to talk about because so much happens in the beginning that's not mentioned in the synopsis, so I don't want to spoil anything. So then it's hard for me to talk about anything else that happens later in the book because it's all happening because of the main storyline. So I don't want to ruin it for anybody. I will say that it got very exhausting. The story felt very exhausted by like the 200-page mark and I was a little bit bored. I'm just not into rebellious teenage vibes. It was just really, really hard to read her POV, especially because there's lots of secrets in this book. So when Clara thinks she's figured out something, she's figured out a secret, you know as the reader that that's not true, but you read multiple chapters from her perspective of her complaining about finding out about this secret. And so it makes you really frustrated with her, which might be the point, but it was exhausting. Like, it wasn't very fun to read. I just wasn't into that very much. So I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars because I think overall, you know, it was fine. I think it could have been shorter, and then also it's just like not my type of romance because it's teenagers and angst and it's just kind of cringe. It was a good way to pass the time.
That concludes our first official live show. For joining us today, I hope this was fun.
We're in the home stretch here. What? Okay, get it together. I'm almost kind of done with November 9. I will be finishing it today. I made it to part 3 and that is page 133, almost halfway. So in this one we have Fallon and Ben who meet each other in the first part of the book when Fallon is having a conversation with her father on November 9. So Ben overhears the conversation that Fallon is having with her dad and kind of intervenes to save her from it. They just start to have this like really unconventional, witty type connection. I'm really loving their bond. I like how they're not taking it too seriously. And the synopsis is kind of vague, so it doesn't tell you anything about Fallon's backstory, so I'm not sure if I want to get into it so that it doesn't spoil it. But basically, Fallon went through a traumatic experience like a couple years ago on November 9, and so it's the anniversary of this traumatic event, but it's also the day that her and Ben meet. And then they agree to meet up every year on November 9th. He is a novelist and he's trying to write the perfect romance novel based on their relationship, but they're not really a couple because they only see each other once a year. They don't really know a ton about each other. And then Fallon is an actor, but because of her accident, it's caused a lot of setback for her. She's in a very insecure, tough place, but wants to make it in Broadway. So Ben is trying to convince her and encourage her to keep going after her dreams. So she moves to New York from California the day after they meet on the first November 9th. And so the book is told in parts. So the first part is the first November 9 when they meet, and then there's the second November 9, and now I'm at 3rd November 9. So it just jumps a year at a time, and you read about their interactions on that day every year. It's actually going really well, and I've got a couple dog years going on already. I'm hoping that it keeps up because it's looking good at this point. Like I said, I really love how it's not taking itself too seriously, like the book as a whole, but also the characters together. It just feels very raw, and it feels very, not necessarily realistic. I don't feel like this is a super realistic story, but I like how it's taking a little bit of an unconventional route for a love story, for a romance. The humor is very dry and witty, and I also am a big fan of that. It's going well, and I'm excited that it is, and hopefully it keeps up. There's also some mentions of characters that were in Ugly Love, and I got a message on Instagram from someone who told me that there are characters in this one that are in Ugly Love. They said it might possibly spoil the other book if you read this one first, so that is kind of why I started with Ugly Love also. But I haven't gotten to like any spoilers about it necessarily, but I've noticed characters' names popping up and seeing like the connections they have to the characters that are in this book. But yeah, I'm really liking it, and I will let you know if that changes, or once I finish the book I'll come back and let you know my final thoughts. Would you look at that? Seems I've saved the best for last. This is another one I don't want to tell you too much about so that you can go into it knowing as little as possible, but what you do need to know is that Fallon and Ben meet up every year on November 9th and don't have any other contact with each other throughout the year for like 6 years. In reality, for them, it's a very slow burn, painful slow burn romance. But for you as the reader, it's just over 300 pages, so you'll fly through it. It reads really quickly. This one I think is definitely the most interesting of the 3 that I read this week. The level of intrigue definitely peaked around the plot twist moment, even though that twist may seem a little weird or far-fetched or unbelievable to some people. I personally really liked the element that it added to the story. The sad factor, however, I think I can only give it like a 2 out of 5. It didn't make me cry. It didn't even make me come close to crying, but I did find myself sticking out my bottom lip in a pout a bunch of times, like, oh. But that's pretty much it. The characters felt real and authentic and genuine, but at the same time, this is a work of fiction, and you can clearly see the characters as such. A lot of it is not very realistic, not something that you would read and think, oh, I wish my life was like this, or you don't want to go actively looking for a boy like Ben. But I liked the witty humor, and just sometimes like the characters were very wry, and I don't know, I really enjoy that type of personality in fictional characters. And I guess for the sake of continuity, I will rate this on a scale of memorableness. I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 actually, because the visuals that Colleen Hoover created in this one, they were descriptive enough for my taste that I feel like this will be something I'll remember more than the others in time to come. So in order of memorableness, it would be November 9, then Ugly Love, and then Regretting You. I still haven't told you my overall rating for this one, but it is a 4.5 out of 5. I wish I could give it a full 5 stars, but unfortunately there were some slow moments and scenes that I was reading that I didn't care so much about. But I think if I were to ever reread this when I'm in like a huge romance mood, because that's the other part too, I don't feel like I'm in a big romance kick right now, so a lot of these just hit mediocrely. But if I were ever to reread this one when I'm dying to read a romance, then I think it could have the possibility of bumping itself up to a full 5 the second time around. As a whole, I think the length and the pacing of this was great. And what can I say? I love books that are a little outlandish sometimes, and this one definitely had that. Also, Colleen Hoover's writing is very recognizable. She seems to be sometimes redundant with her storylines and character backstories and the tragedies that she puts in her novels, and I definitely noticed a lot of them reading these 3 back to back, but whatever, that's her thing, I guess. So to recap, Ugly Love I gave 4 stars, Regretting You I gave 3 stars, and November 9 4.5. And my ratings accurately show which one was my favorite and my least favorite. And Ugly Love, I'm disappointed I didn't cry. I feel like if it had managed to make me bawl my eyes out, then it 100% could have been a 5-star. Still think I like Verity the most at this point right now. I'm really looking forward to reading more Coho books, specifically All Your Perfects and It Ends With Us, which will be getting read by me this year, so stick around and stay tuned for my thoughts on those. That wraps up episode 1 of this new series, and there are 3 less books over there on my shelf, and that feels really good. I will be starting episode 2 very soon, so that video can hopefully be up a week after you're seeing this one. I hope you had fun. Thanks so much for chilling with me this week while I read these 3 books, and I will see you guys in my next video.